I got a call earlier today from one of my good friends, and I told him I would make a video about this. He asked me that if I had the opportunity, would I join ICE? And I said, absolutely. For one thing, it looks fun as fuck. And I don't like the fact that I'm being left out of the party. It seems like a party. Let's take a look. Wait, wait. So you mean to tell me you get to jump out and bear spray liberals, Democrats, and pedophiles? Oh, I like this. Yeah, I want in. I want some of this. And you got to think about it. I've actually went to one of these protests before. Actually, I just drove by one. I looked at the makeup of the crowd. A lot of them were white people, single, no children, no spouse. A lot of them were gay. So it's not a stretch to understand why there's an organization that's literally busting up child trafficking rings. These people in these crowds are the customers of the child traffickers. So it makes sense that they would be upset. But it's not just all about the funds and games. I actually believe in the mission. See, I'm from Los Angeles, California. I've seen the results in my community already, and I'm happy to tell you about them. I'm sorry, I just wanted to see them get some a little bit more. I'm loving this. I'm loving seeing the ass kickings. I'm loving the seeing the liberal tears. They're literally destroying the people that supply the children to the pedophiles. So the pedophiles who think that we don't know what they're really up to, they're pretending they care about families and people being deported and shut the fuck up. Don't forget we have the internet. We know what type of lifestyle you live. We know what you did last summer. We just didn't judge you. See, we used to assume that all the gay stuff and the LGBT was just because you want to go have sex with other adults. And in that situation, what the hell do we care? Fun fact about me, you could stick your penis in a blender for all I give a damn. My issue comes in when you want to start grooming and talking and dealing with kids. I don't know why. I don't know why do I mean, I'm not actually sure why I care so much. I just hate pedophiles. I hate them. When I was younger, my uncle used to he couldn't stand gay people. He couldn't stand them, and he'll see one and he'd want to, run them over. It was just crazy stuff. And I used to be like, what the hell's wrong with you? And then, people would say, oh, well, sometimes you don't like gay people. Maybe it's because you're gay secretly. And for a while, I used to think maybe that's what's really going on. No, no, because what you start doing is you start looking at the history of people. Who are these people really attracted to, really trying to deal with? Are they really trying to just find other adults to hook up with? Then why are they pushing this into schools? Why do you want to go read to kids? Why do you want to be around kids so much if you're just trying to marry another adult? So the cat's out of the bag. We know what the fuck you guys are up to. We don't like it. We don't like you. And we don't have to say we like you. Those days are over. So now we're moving into the future. So what ICE is doing is it's returning our world back to us. Again, in Los Angeles, because of illegal immigration, gang culture exploded because when young men can't get hired for jobs, well, where I'm from, we join gangs, we commit crime, we do everything we can that's not productive, that's not beneficial to our future to survive. A lot of my friends are in prison or dead. Now I'm seeing a huge resurgence in my friends going back to work, getting jobs that we never had access to historically since the 70s and 80s. We never had openings at warehouses. We never had openings for drivers. We never had openings at stores. We never even stood a chance because we could not compete with illegal immigrants who are willing to take half the pay with no benefits and basically no oversight. You can get treated however, and you can't really say anything because you're being paid under the table. You're not even really an official employee. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, it just makes more sense to not hire an American. This has been the first president that gave a goddamn about what's happening to actual American people. Everything sounds good on the campaign trail, but how often does it come into fruition? How often do they actually make good on their word? It's very rare. So, but besides that, I'm very impressed with how many children are being rescued because of ICE and their enforcement efforts.
Extremely tense, sometimes violent, and we want to get into the aftermath of that. We're finally hearing from the Department of Homeland Security. We're finally hearing from ICE as well. Our colleague, Matt Finn, has it as follows. In this reporting that roughly 200 illegal migrants were arrested at the marijuana grow sites in California yesterday, including at least 10 children. Children were rescued from alleged potential exploitation, forced labor, and human trafficking. That's according to the Department of Homeland Security. Fox News correspondent William LaJeunesse with more details.
One thing I'm noticing that it bothers me is that I see Latinos, a lot of Latinos that are against ICE. But those same Latinos that don't like ICE, I never hear them complaining about child exploitation, child sex trafficking victims, or protecting children. They have nothing to say about the children. They don't care. They're like, oh, we hate ICE. ICE is racist, blah, blah. But what about the children that our people, or specifically your people, are being caught with, that they're trafficking, that they're being paid to move around? The kids that don't have a birth certificate or a social security card that you're selling to gringos. And when you go back 3 months later, if you do a checkup and ask, hey, where's that kid? Those sick men that purchased a kid, they look at you and say, what kid? Oh, that kid. Yeah, they ran away. But really, that kid is buried somewhere. I used to, before I know what I knew now, I used to wonder, like, they have all these videos on the what is it called, the dark web, and they always talk about all these people being caught with child porn and all these like scat videos, and I'm like, that's impossible because every kid born has a social security card, birth certificate, they have parents. I never understood that the source of the children that they're trafficking, the kids that they're raping and killing, and all these horrible things, they're sourcing them in Central and South America. Then they traffic them to the United States. And the traffickers pretend they're the kids' parents. So Trump brings this up that, hey, this is the source of a lot of the children that are being trafficked. No other president gave a damn. None. So not only is Trump worried about Americans, he's also worried about these migrants too. So he said, look, we're going to separate the kids from these traffickers because we don't know who's a parent and who's a trafficker. And we'll do DNA testing to see if this is their biological parent. Most of those tests came back the people these kids were with were not relatives. They were their kidnappers. And these kids were being brought to the United States to be sold to sick and perverted Americans all over the country. A lot of them had an LGBTQP background. So that's why you see so many of them hate Trump. And that's what makes me upset when the black community hates Trump. But I'm like, well, then how are you? I mean, do you like pedophiles or you don't? Because you were trying to call Trump a pedophile as an insult, but here you are empowering and defending the pedophiles. The LGBT community, that's a wash. We know what they are. We know what they're about. We understand there's a war against them. The problem is the black community is in the middle, and we don't know which side they're going to be on and who they're going to defend. The coup starts soon. The war begins soon, and it's over kids. And I don't think that black Americans understand they're literally going to be expected to fight on behalf of the left and defend pedophiles, child traffickers, and people that rape children. You know, yeah, you might have a thing about slavery and you hate white people, but those gays they're not only just white, but they're also trafficking kids and pedophiles. So you have to pick your poison. Who do you hate more? Trump for no reason, or people that rape kids? And I'll be honest, I haven't did a much of a survey with the black community, but I'm going to start asking. But I'm starting to wonder how many of my black friends would choose pedophiles over Trump. That's how powerful the TDS is. That's how strong the grip that Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper has over the mind of the American black, which is unfortunate. So I'm watching these videos and I'm just beyond impressed. I'm very impressed and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing. But this is also another symptom of illegal immigration. And it's only been a few months that we've been having heavy enforcement, but the results are already here. Take a listen.
Increase, but that's not what we're seeing. And just since February, we've seen almost 100,000 men join the labor force. So you're really talking about not a personal choice. You're talking about structural exclusion. So over 6 million women have.
Listen to what she's saying. She's saying basically 300,000 black women are out of the workforce, and 600,000 women in total are kicked out of the workforce. But listen to what she says about men in the workforce.
In the labor force, and in that same time frame, over 6 million women have actually become eligible to participate in the labor force. So reasonably, you would think that their labor force participation should increase, but that's not what we're seeing. And just since February, we've seen almost 100,000 men join the labor force.
Just since February. Now, Trump became a president officially January 21st. So just since Trump took office and the immigration raids started taking place, 300,000 men have already been back to work. And that number's increasing every day. See, for every one illegal that's removed, that's one American back to work. So we're looking at hundreds of thousands of men, young men that are now going to be working and they don't have time to gangbang. There's no man that's getting off work at 6 o'clock. He's been there since 10 and he's about to go home, change into his khakis, his house shoes. He's going to put on his bandana and he's going to be on the block to gangbang from 7 o'clock till what are prime gangbanging hours? 7 p.m. to 3 a.m.? You can't do that because you have to get up to go to work at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So there are no men that are getting off of work and then going to gangbang. You're either doing one or the other. So if young men are in work, they're not in gangs. So now I've watched gang culture destroy the world's of everyone I know growing up in California. That's pretty much all we have. We're not like Chicago and New York and other cities. Gang banging is all we have. My gangbanger friends are now getting messages and getting contacted from construction workers, truck driving companies, warehouses, factories, and they're literally going back to work and they're not going back to the streets. The streets are changing. That right there alone, knowing that my friends are not going to be in the streets getting killed and having to get buried or killing someone else and going to prison, knowing that removing illegals from the country is going to change the bottom lines and the futures of men in my community, I have really no choice but to defend ICE and to say I want to sign up and join them. That's the bottom line. It makes all the sense in the world. I've never seen any other one action yield such results in my entire life. So you mean to tell me just enforcing immigration laws, people are going back to work, the streets are safer, children are being rescued, drug overdoses are going down. So you mean to tell me all of the problems that plagued my entire world growing up in Los Angeles, I could trace them all back to illegal immigration in the 70s until now? Because that's when it picked up. At first, they were working in the fields. Well, then they started working everywhere. It became the hustle for the business owner. Why would you not? Why pay regular people when you can pay slaves and you can pay them slave wages? Why incur the responsibility of benefits and following the law when you can just pay people under the table and they're just happy to be here? But see, did they care about the side effects? What it was going to do to the people who they're not going to be employing or their families, their neighborhoods, their communities? No, they didn't give a flying fuck. But you know what? It's not your job to give a flying fuck. You have to be worried about yourself. I get that. It's America. We're all individuals. You got to do what's best for you and your family. You can't depend on others for handouts. However, what's best for me and my family is removing the illegals from the country. So that's why I support ICE. I suggest everybody who is able to join ICE, and we have to complete this mission. This has, again, been one of the most single policies I've ever seen to yield such amazing long-term results. Just them firing, though, just them removing the licenses of those 17,000 illegals in California. When I tell you I have a dozen friends who I didn't even know they were truck drivers because they've been out of work. They're being offered triple just to come back to work and get on the road because these companies need workers. See, these companies aren't going to just shut down and say, oh man, look, guess we're going to go out of business. No, they're going to pay the higher premium for American workers and they're going to keep it pushing. They're not just going to give up and it's over because they can't get their slave labor. Shit, I mean, when I read the stories of the South and versus the Union, was there a lot of people that were making money in the South off of slavery? No. There was just a small few people that owned slaves, owned big plantations, and they were benefiting just certain families. But for the most part, it wasn't benefiting everybody. And it's literally the same thing here. Everybody's not a business owner. What is it? 2% of the population employs 98% of the population. But just that 2%, were they not benefiting by exploiting and paying these people slave wages? Absolutely. So yeah, I know it might sound like I'm knocking their hustle and I'm calling it out, but I have to think about my best interest. It's in the best interest of me, my community, and my friends if we kick the illegals the fuck out of here. They took our jobs. Bro, we haven't had jobs in so long that we didn't even know that looking for jobs was a thing. We've never seen people with jobs. From when I became 16, we illegal immigrants took every position and had been taking every position for 20 years, 30 years before that. So no one even thought to look for jobs. You know how crazy it was when I left the state of California and went to Nevada or to Arizona? And there were actual Americans that worked at stores and in businesses, and you didn't have to press one for English every fucking where. Do you know how amazing that was? It was a leaving California is it's a culture shock. That's how destroyed our society has been due to illegal immigration. Because again, the rise of illegal immigrants led to the rise of gang culture, and gang culture destroyed everything. Everything, your favorite rappers, your favorite businesses, your favorite people, everything's destroyed. Removing gang culture is the best thing that could ever happen to Los Angeles. And again, more young men going to work means less young men going outside to be gang bangers. And because of that, I support ICE and I want to join them. I want in on the fun. Beating the hell out of pedophiles and child traffickers. I really can't think of anything that would be more entertaining to do with my time. Let me know if you agree. If you hate pedophiles and you want to see better results in your community, you'd rather see men going to work instead of going into gangs, then give me a like. Leave me a comment, support the page, support the channel. I love hearing from you all. I definitely appreciate the support. I have, my subscribers went over 3,000 out of nowhere. I appreciate some of these big shout outs I've been giving, and I'm hoping to continue making content every single day. If Tim Pool decides to retire eventually, I'm going to step up and start doing more content to try to fill the void to the best of my ability. But I'm here. I'm doing content all day, every day. So let me know. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.